Yo,
Hey,
nice shirt, man.
thanks.
How
Same to
goes
you.
it? Cheers. Representing the avocados here. Everyone loves them. So, yeah, you're loving it, man. Look at this dollar. Don't stop this dollar, man.
It ain't helping today, but yeah, overall it's been pretty good.
Yeah, just having a look at the euro's getting a nice little bid here. I see
Yeah,
Christine helping us out here in Ireland.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah. Are you back in equities?
yeah, yeah. I've been long
What are you on
equity.
the Dow?
Been trading the S&P.
Oh yeah, nice,
Same shit, but yeah.
nice. Just seeing if the guys can hear you here. Oh, you should hear him now, Purvis. Um, yeah, man. So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm fairly open with my trading here with the guys in the room. I got completely fucked in the sideways equity stuff there over the last kind of 2 weeks. I mean, bonds made out all right, but oh man,
Yeah, that's always fun.
learned a big lesson. Stop
What was,
trading equities.
just got whipped around.
Yeah, I was trading my edge, man, but I think I think my target expectations needed to be reduced because of the range generally that we were in, and I should have brought it back to basics because ranges are my kryptonite and always have been. Like tight ranges, big ranges not so bad, but like multi day or week ranges fine, but tight ranges no, not my.
Yeah, that's not my place either. I mean, I had 4 pretty shitty weeks there for a while. Because ranges aren't my place either, you know. I need
So So let let me ask then, Yoda, what do you do to stay out of the ranges? You just identify it and then you're like, right, I'm waiting for a break.
there's nothing I can really do. Like if I'm, I mean, I've been basically long the stock market all year. It's not gonna go up, even if it's right every day. You know what I mean? I just have to kind of, what can I do? I have to sit and wait. Either my stuff tells me it's not going up anymore and I get out, or my stuff says it's continuing to go up and I just have to wait. Hopefully I get some other trades in the meantime, um,
Sure.
to make some money. I really hadn't been getting anything else until, well, the last couple of weeks. And then I got sort of this short euro, short pound, short gold thing. And my thought, quite frankly, was, hey, that's good because if the equities are going to keep being in a range, then at least I can make money on that, maybe, you know what I mean? Or at least on a
Sure.
relative basis. And I mean, I literally said in my report this week, I was like, I don't see how all these trades are, long stocks and long dollar basically is I can't see how they're all going to make money. So hopefully it will just make money on a relative basis. And
Sure.
look what ended up happening. The dollar ended up going up and stocks ended up going up too. So sometimes you get a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. Bonds are getting wrecked here as well. Jeez.
Yeah, I've been out of
Looking
the
at the 10 year. Right.
been out of that bond trade for a while, so that's okay with me. It can do whatever it wants to do.
You might be going back to the bank and saying, get me some more of those 12-month bills, will you?
I mean, if I can make
Bigger
some money,
yield.
if I can make some money, then I could do that. I mean, I only get paid quarterly anyway, so whatever money I had has been gone out of the bank. So yeah, if I make some more money, we'll worry about what happens then.
So coming back to the video you put out analyzing what was it, '07 and '08 COTs,
Uh-huh.
and it kind of seems like I think we maybe I talked to one of the guys here who watched that video. seemed like we're. It seemed like at the point you were identifying that we're at now is kind of like that part where maybe everyone's starting to crowd into the longs, and then the next signal would be their max long, like the commercials will be max long.
The commercial will be max short, but yeah, I mean, let's see. Let's see what the data says. It was just kind of cool that it just kind of reminds me of the same. Everybody was bearish going into the whole financial crisis, and we're short, and the market didn't top until they got out of those, literally within 2 weeks of them getting out of those shorts. And we went and looked back. One guy went and looked back and saw exactly what it was. If you see on that video, they basically got out of a massive amount of shorts in 1 week, which you would never be able to anticipate, right? But that week was the week that the Fed cut rates. So apparently the Fed cut rates, and everybody threw in the towel and said, okay, let's stop being short. And within 2 weeks, the market hit its all-time high. Well, not all-time high anymore, but all-time high going up into that point. And it was, right before the whole, the whole crash started. So whether that happens again, I don't know, but I can already get short NASDAQ if need be. So based on the COT stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, I need sort of a market confirmation to do it, but that makes me feel kind of good because, it means I can do it. So it's set up for me to do. So, depending how the data comes out this week, but as of last week, it was set up for me to do. So I really feel like that people are not going to get massively long the stock market. I just don't see any situation where they're going to do that. But clearly they're going to get squeezed out of shorts. They've already done that in the NASDAQ. Whether they're going to do that in the S&P and the Dow, I have no idea, but I just can't build any scenario in my mind listening to these people talk where they're going to throw in the towel and just get massively long. It's just like what they did in 07. They never got massively long, but they got squeezed out of all their shorts, right? And I feel like that's the same situation here. These guys are not, you know what I mean? They're never going to go massively long. It's just not going to happen. They've been bearish for so long, they might buy the dip, but I can't see them getting massively long the stock market up here. But like I said, it can get squeezed out of shorts. It's amazing to me. It's got to be the most popular trade in the world. I hear it on Twitter and everything all day is, being short NVIDIA. They love being short NVIDIA. It's amazing. So clearly they've got to be getting squeezed out, but
really short NVIDIA. Wow.
Everybody's short.
A lot of equities day traders love it for the volatility. Long, short doesn't really matter, but
I put a thing on Twitter last night, and I was like, "What is with this fascination of being short NVIDIA?" And I mean, I just got ripped. People were coming at me like I was the devil. You don't understand shit. This thing is so freaking overvalued. I'm like, you're right. I don't understand shit, and that's why I haven't been short NVIDIA for the last 120%. I don't doubt any of that stuff, but
you really want to go on there and say Bitcoin's going to zero, and then you're really going to get lit up big time.
Well,
big time.
Say making fun of people for being short in a video was almost the same thing, because they lit me up last night, man. I was laughing my ass off.
So gold, I'm looking at gold here. I mean, it got absolutely beaten bits yesterday, but I think there's a hell of a lot of talk about something that's not going to happen. That's a US default.
I mean, does anyone really? I don't know the answer to this, but I know there's been a lot of press about the whole thing, and they love covering these politics and all that. But has anyone really taken a trade or a position because of the default? You know what I mean? Like, does anyone
What is
really
that?
think that? Does anyone really think that's going to happen? This isn't the first time we've been through this. You know what I mean? So, is there really a trade based off of that? I mean, people are saying,
Oh,
okay,
T notes.
huh?
Selling T notes, and we are down 0.25% on T notes right now.
Yes, if any trade, fundamental trade, that's really the trade, right? Because okay, once they make this vote, now they got to go out and, excuse me, borrow another whatever 8 gazillion freaking dollars, and
Well, the yields will go to the moon. Yeah,
yeah, that might be the trade.
fucking
But
like, I don't
other
know
than
what,
that,
500% on the. I don't know. It'd be fucking insane. Were
yeah,
you trading over the period where long term capital management went wallop over the Russian bond default?
yes,
And what was the action like over that? Was it a quick one and done, or must have been at
yeah,
least a
it
week,
was
a week
it
and
was
a half
yeah,
worth
like a
of
week,
shit?
yeah, week and done kind of thing.
Right. So
It was.
how did US paper do?
I don't remember. I just remember this. I didn't trade all that stuff then. That was what 97, maybe 98 or something.
Yeah.
Uh, I was just trading the stock market at the time. Did I
Right.
ever tell you? Did I ever tell you that story about when I met that guy? That
Who,
was hilarious.
one of the Black and Scholes guys?
No, I went to London Business School, right? And
Oh, did you? Okay.
and one of the professors there had taken over Meriwether's position at Solomon Brothers. He was, he ran Solomon Brothers trading, I guess, globally, right? And he was a fixed income, PhD genius guy. And his wife worked at my school. And I knocked on her door. I said, "Hey, I'd like to meet your husband, And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And she set up an interview or a meeting with him at Solly's in London. And I went and I sat with him for like an hour. And he was a really nice guy. At the time, he was, I think, probably the highest paid guy in the city of London. Um,
Wow.
made made a few $100 million a year, and he was a very low key guy, very professorial type of guy. And I sat with him, and he was like, "I love this story, so I'm going to tell you the whole thing because it's just so funny." He's
All
like,
right.
so how do you approach the markets? I was like, I think that if everybody's doing something, it can't work. So therefore, I try to take the opposite side of what everybody's doing. And he was like, I think that's true. He goes, but there are some times that everybody can make money. And I was like, okay, like I'm listening to this guy. He clearly knows a lot more than me, right?
What age
Um,
are you now at this point?
I'm probably like 26, 27.
Okay.
And he's like, there are times people can make money. He goes, like, for example, right now, everybody is putting on the euro interest rate convergence trade because if the euro comes into being, then all the interest rates mathematically have to converge. So everybody's putting that trade on. And when the euro comes into being, everybody will make money on that.
So
And I
you're
was like,
so the trade there was like
well, I mean, if you
interest
think
rates
about what
went
ended up happening, the Russian thing
across.
crashed, right? The Russian thing blew up. These guys all had money in that trade. They had to meet their margin calls. So they had to sell out these European convergence trades because everybody had it on and so much leverage between long-term capital and Solis and Tokai Bank and all these places, right? There was no one to buy it. So they blew out. Not just blew out. I mean, long-term capital went out of business. Salomon Brothers went out of business. I mean, blew out. And
Yeah.
as it turned out, the trade was exactly right. It worked. The European interest rates did converge, right?
Those
So
guys just didn't think anything was going to happen of significance between 97 and the convergence point.
yeah, so the trade was
Which
right.
was
He was
Russia.
right. And in the meantime, he blew out an investment bank that was over 100 years old. So, and it was all based on the fact that, everybody had it on, in size that, they were so levered up, right? It's just like this GameStop thing in a way.
What was
Everybody
the
knew that
convergence?
GameStop was worthless, so they were all short and massively, and
Yeah.
so it got squeezed.
What was the convergence point in that trade though? Like time wise, was it 2000 when they actually went public with the currency, or was it?
It
Uh,
must have been when the currency came into being. Must have been when the final mathematics ended
so I
up
know there
working.
was a lot of trading on it for like 2 or 3 years before it actually, so they could integrate it easily. There was trading, I think, for a year or two before 2000, or what was it, late 99 it came in, I think.
Yeah. So this would have been
That's
like,
interesting.
I think I met that guy over Christmas break in 97 going into 98 or something. It was just so ironic because literally I met him like over Christmas, somewhere in the last week of December. And I forget when they blew up, if it was February or something like that. But by March, that guy was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. They do those little, like, those drawings, those pencil drawings of people on the front page of the Wall Street
Yeah.
Journal every day. And it was him
Yeah.
about how he had just blown out, one of the biggest investment banks in the world.
Did you talk to him since?
Nah. I'm supposed to call him up. I told you so, asshole. I mean, well, he's retired. He didn't lose his money,
Yeah. Were you positioned at all over any of that? No.
I don't remember.
No.
I'm sure I was losing money. I don't really remember.
Jeez, man. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's looking like US default. Who knows whether it's going to happen or not? But I mean, we've had COVID, we've had war. What's going to be next? Aliens land or US default for the first time ever? I reckon it's probably going to be US defaults first time ever.
But why would they ever default? They own the printing press.
Well, I was in your chat room and I think I said something along the lines of, they could default, or there's someone input analysis on something, and some guy just came out of the woodwork in the chat and was like, they own the printing press, they're never going to default, just insane, da da da. And I was like, well, okay, fair enough.
I mean, my theory has always been the next big thing, whenever that is going to be when the printing press doesn't work anymore. They'll keep printing. There's nothing to stop them, right? But what happens when it doesn't work anymore?
Well, that would be people not buying it.
Huh?
That would be people. I don't think the printing press wouldn't work anymore. I just think the market would dry up for it. But of course,
well, that's what I mean. What happens when the market
super healthy
rejects it? Yeah, what happens when the market rejects it and says, we're not taking any more of these dollars? I keep saying there's a limit to everything in the world. Physics teaches us that, right? And that has to include how much money the United States government can print. I don't know if we're there. I always say, I don't know if it's this week, this year, or in 20 years. I have no way of knowing that, right? But at some point, there's a limit. And the market will say, screw you, right? And I think that the sign will be that they'll do it. And that day, everything, bonds, stocks, and the dollar will all go down, right?
When they do what they announce QE.
Yes.
And then everything just drops.
Right. And that'll be the market saying, we ain't taking it no more, right? Because I think people still think QE is sort of positive for stocks, right?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So if the market rejects all that shit, and it's going to take, this is why I think maybe if the market comes down, once they get squeezed out of these shorts and then stocks come down and they all want to kind of buy that, whatever level it is, I forget, 3,800 or whatever that September low was type of thing, So maybe they then come in and buy that and say, finally, we can buy.
Yeah,
then things get
cheap
worse.
at 38s, man.
Yeah, and then things get worse. And then the Fed has to print. And then the market, like we were saying, rejects all that. And the next thing you know, the S&P is at 300. I believe that
I can't see that happen. I can't see that happen.
They can't. All I'm saying is you can't print forever.
You're talking about a complete evisceration of like
wealth,
practically every portfolio.
Yeah.
Wait, you'll love this one. So a mate of mine is going to ask me, hey, what should I get into? And I'm like, just high dividend yield stuff. He's got about 100 grand. And he's talking to like a brokerage here, and he sent me the prospectus to look at it. And their best performance in the last 5 years, 3.9%. And they are coming for him hot to invest in this thing. And I'm like, dude, you can go on like onto a Schwab right now, and get like 5% at the most risk-free rate.
Right.
Like these brokerage shops are the best. You know, you could do 3.9 in the year, you could do 5, or you could do -8. You know, why would you do that? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you know, but talking about this evisceration, I mean, but most people just look at these big brokerages and they're like, you know, they're big, safe, you know, retirement AVCs or whatever, or sorry, not AVCs, RACs or annuity funds, and they're just like, well, it's safe as houses, so in I go, and the game goes on. But your scenario there is just that would just be like gold to fucking like 6,000, and like Bitcoin probably to like 100,000.
I don't know why
Uh,
gold has to go to 6,000. It could. I don't just say it because I'm short here, but
it's
gold
gonna
didn't
be
go up
end of
during
days,
gold
man.
didn't go up during the financial crisis.
Sure,
There
sure.
was a guy at the firm I worked at who had been long gold. He was super bearish, not just during the financial. He was super bearish from the day I met him in 2006. But he was super long gold. He wasn't a futures trader; he was a stock trader. But he was super long all the gold mining stocks um, during that, and
Oh, what? Oh, through 08.
yeah, and he got crushed. He
Yeah.
got absolutely crushed. But I'm just trying to look here on this thing if I have this right.
I got
April
absolutely hosed now.
2008. In April 2008, gold was at 950. In October 2008, well, it was at 700. Didn't do too badly, but it certainly didn't go
Well,
up.
it didn't blow anyone's skirt up. That's
No,
all it did.
950 to 700. I mean, it lost whatever, 25% during that.
And
Um,
I bought Barrick Gold when we were kind of getting into the inflationist transitory phase.
yeah,
Things a dog, man, still running.
those gold stocks actually
Absolute dog.
suck, man.
They do suck. Tell you what, I wasn't even getting paid a
I'd rather
dividend,
be in
which
the
is even worse.
commodity if I want to be long that shit personally. The gold stocks just suck. I think those companies, I don't know a lot about it, but they must be super expensive to run because you got these huge costs, and I don't think they get a very good return on their investment.
No, but it's like the big vertically integrated like marquee oil companies. You know what they do have? That's a major cash machine. Is very
Yeah.
active in-house trading department.
Oh yeah. That's
Shell trading department. Where a girl that used to work for me in Houston went to work for them, and I know a couple of people in there, and those guys and girls are making serious cash, man. Serious cash for the whole trading department. It's like it's all wrapped up in-house.
yeah. Well, good. Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe gold will be the place. I don't know. Hopefully before that happens, they get out of these freaking longs, which they clearly are starting to. And I don't have to be
Oh,
short. But and look, I don't know if that whole scenario comes to pass in our lifetime, but it just seems to me, I don't see how you get out of it. The US, Dalio wrote about it in his last book. You reach a certain level of success, right? And it can't be
mm,
maintained, right? Because you're getting
mm.
priced out. You can't pay people in America $1 an hour to do things, right? You can't pay people in America anything anymore to do anything. Nobody wants to work at all in this country, right? So,
Yeah.
so then you start to lose your
Dominant.
standard of living, right? And the
Yeah.
government can't have that happen because they want to stay in power. So they have to print money and create all this. It's pretty classic, and you're not going to go back on that. Um, so now the real answer people tell me is that it doesn't have to be so dramatic, like I'm saying. It can just be sort of a slow decline in standard of living, kind of like, not
I
to
don't think it's a
not to poke
tradable
a
event
bear
at
here,
all.
but kind of like the UK, right? Just been a sort of a slow decline in the standard of living over the last 100 years, right? Because they went from being the world power to being, just a normal place, right? Um,
But you're seeing that,
I don't mean it's not even like in the UK that the standard of living has gone down. You know,
yeah,
but I mean, I think
real
slowly
versus
relative to the rest of the world, you know, it probably has. So
sure.
maybe that's all that happens. I don't know. I really don't know. I personally think that the debt thing is so ridiculous now. You look at these debt levels, you know, and I hate to sound like a fundamental guy because I'm not, but and they've been saying these debt levels since I was in high school, by the way, right? During Reagan,
Yeah.
that's all anybody was talking about. They put the big clock up, you know, or whatever in Times Square,
Yeah.
showing the national debt and all that. So people have been freaking out about that since then, and it's meant absolute shit. But at some point, it has to mean something. It has to.
That
Something like,
I
I
remember
think that 50% of the government budget now, or they were saying, it now goes to covering
the debt
debt.
coverage interest rate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There
So
was
what the fuck, man? You can't. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not sustainable at some level. It cannot be sustainable. This is the French Revolution, right? That's what they did. That's
apparently
called the French Revolution.
apparently if it goes to 50 trillion or whatever, I don't know, 50 trillion debt limit, then that would represent uh two-thirds of two-thirds of the budget would be servicing the debt. I mean,
It's fucking amazing, dude. And
meanwhile, I mean, I don't mean to beat up on America, and I hate always having these, all these financial conversations are just always US centric. But oh wait, has taught us that, well, that's the way the world is, especially when we're on a global dollar. But it's it's just kind of insane that the amount of money you guys spend on military, and then the amount you guys say would spend on public education. It's just, it's insane. So you're facilitating more debt to fund a military industrial complex.
don't even get me started.
I know, man. It's insane, though.
I mean,
It's insane.
you're going right down my rant alley right now. I have ruined many a Christmas dinner on this conversation. So
It's
yeah,
insane, though, isn't it, man? I mean, honestly, like,
no, it's as
these
clear
kids
as a
going to
bell. So
school
it
hungry.
can't go on forever, man. It can't go on forever. And we're already taxed up the freaking ass. Over 50% of my income goes to taxes in one form or another, be it state tax, federal tax, real estate tax, car tax, sales tax. Over
Welcome to the
50% of
party.
my freaking income goes to tax, man. How much can they, and then you got to remember, people wonder why people vote for Donald Trump, you've got to remember you've got you guys, or people who don't live in the States, they see America, they see the people on TV, you don't see, the people out in the country and stuff. I mean, these people are all gunned up, man, and they're ready to go, dude. You know what I mean? So you keep trying to tax them more, these people are ready to go, dude. They really are. And they all got guns. I don't own a gun. These people all got guns, man, and they're ready to go. So I
It's
keep
certainly from this side of the ocean, we're kind of in a really nice vantage area in Ireland. We have pretty balanced news media here, but it does certainly seem like that we're getting closer and closer to a breaking point with kind of what's happening in the States in terms of, there's a general degradation of allocation of budgets, into anything civically related. Like, and maybe that's a hang up from the McCarthy era where people are so afraid of the word socialism, whereas it's played to our advantage here in Europe, but it's not, I mean, we're not running around, you know, with, communist cards or anything, but we're certainly looking after people.
but
That are good.
it's too late because we don't have the money to do it. Even if they wanted to do that, where are you going to get the money?
One of the guys here is saying you cut that defense budget in half, and then it's
Okay, now you're talking. But if you cut the defense budget in half, I mean, America's over. Look, I grew up in America. I
What,
live in
how is
America
America over if you cut the defense budget? How is
because
it
that's what America is. I don't want to say this because
over?
I grew up in
The bonds
America.
will get
Okay,
shot to shit.
I'm an American. I grew up here. My family was being persecuted in Russia and had to leave and came here. So for me, God bless America. Okay, but at the same time, what is America? We go. This has always been the story. We go overseas. We stir up some freaking war, and
Yeah.
then we sell billions and billions of dollars of our defense stuff to them. Right? That's
Yeah.
what it's always been. You know. So if you take that away, you take the defense budget out. Yes, I agree. I hate it. That's my number one pet peeve is the whole defense budget thing. But are you really going to take that away? I mean, who? I don't know because I'm not in the U.S. government, but the conspiracy theorist in me, who runs the government? I mean, how do you get elected into one of these positions, right? It's all about campaign donations and all the whatever behind the scenes, kind of
Lobbyists.
stuff. Yeah, lobbyists, and they all are owned by these huge defense companies. So look, I'd love to see it, but if that were to happen, there's going to have to be an incredible adjustment first, right? And
So,
I think that
yeah.
adjustment does not happen smoothly. It happens ugly. And again, is it this week, this year, or 20 years from now? I don't know, but that is an adjustment that does not happen smoothly, especially with the political situation that's going on in this country where everybody's so divided and you're running out of money everywhere. I think we talked about this last time, but the cities are out of money and there's lawlessness going on.
Yeah. I was in Chicago there like last year, and yeah, man, there's just a general air of things are not like booming. Things are flat, really. But
I
then I
mean,
thought
all
Chicago is
these
actually
things.
really dangerous.
Oh, yeah, it is. All these things only work. It's just like the banking system, right? If everybody takes their money out of the banks, then there are no banks because they don't have that money, right? They
Banks are
count
dead, man. Banks
they
are
count
dead.
on that
Your high
math.
street banks, they're gone.
But it's just like everything else to me, right? Society works as long as the masses don't, they got the guns, but we got the numbers, right? Like if everybody freaks out, there's nothing they can do about it. It only works if you keep people from freaking out. And at some point, if they freak out and they're burning down the cities, you don't have enough police to do that, and you don't even have enough army or if all the cities blow up at one point at one time, there ain't nothing you can do about it, man.
Mm.
So again, I'm not saying that that's happening, but I'm saying I
I
can
think,
see it. I can see the scenario where that could happen.
I think
And it all
think
comes
it
down
would
to
happen,
it all comes
but
down to money. Like the French Revolution happened because, you know,
people are starving.
as the rich were printing money, the people were starving, right?
Yeah,
And
that seems to be
they
what's
were
happening in
printing
the
money
states right
because
now.
they had, if I understand it right, they were going overseas and they were getting gold and bringing it back on ships, right? And then that gold was money. And then at some point, they came up with the brilliant idea of if we know the gold is already, and they were just spending it, Marie Antoinette and all that, they were just spending all that money. So why do we have to wait for the gold to even get back here if we know it's there? Let's just print money in front of us getting the gold, right?
Right.
And eventually, you know what I mean? That money wasn't worth anything. And I feel like that's exactly what we're doing here. And I don't see people don't stop doing that. You know how it is. If I had a printing machine, I'm not going to stop printing myself money. I'm going to keep printing myself money, right? So
Well, you know what you do is you print the money and then you loan it out to as many people as possible. And then you say, "Hey, give me an IOU there." He who
yeah,
controls the debt controls the power.
right, right. So I don't know. That's the downside scenario. I talk about all this as I'm short gold and long stocks, okay, and long the U.S. dollar. So
Yeah. So you're currently positioned the other way right now because
I'm
it's going to
currently
keep
positioned
going
the other
on
way. I'm currently
because
positioned
it's
the other
going to
way.
keep happening, man. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
But I'm
All right.
constantly on the lookout for this because It seems somewhat inevitable to me, but like I say, they were talking about that when I was in high school about Reagan, and they've been talking about, the end of the world is a very sexy subject, and it probably sells a lot of
Yeah.
newspapers, but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen. It happens, but it doesn't happen very often. And
I think from a
really,
psychological
what's the
point of
difference
view,
anyway? If I'm short the S&P 500 because I think that's going to happen, and that happens, and the S&P goes to 20. Okay, so what did I do? Well, what am I going to do with the profits that I just make? The money I just made is going to be useless anyway.
that's
So
right. That's right.
what's even the point?
You want to be a farmer at that point.
Correct. That's a farmer. That's right. A farmer with a lot of guns.
But like, yeah, okay. Just trying to get my head around how bearish this is. But I think it is. I think you struck on something there, which is really important for traders to pick up on, is that it is so easy to be bearish, right? And,
Yes.
and to be stuck in this. Oh, we're too high. We're too expensive.
Yes.
Like I can't buy it here.
Yes.
It's really easy to get into that mindset. And there was a fund manager, Rani, that I met when I was trading in Amplify Trading, but he said that he's just like, listen, man, the Fed are going to bring in QE, and it's too easy to be bearish. But you know what? The Fed's got our back here, and we're going to go up. And sure enough, and I think we're in another scenario now where it's too easy to be bearish, and for you and I to start ruining Christmas dinner parties. But you know what happens is animal spirits take over, and the printer keeps on printing.
Yeah,
So
that's why I say that's all fine until it doesn't work. And the market will tell you. You don't have to guess. The market will tell you when it doesn't work anymore because it'll do QE and stocks, bonds, and the dollar will go down. And you'll be like, okay, we're fucked. The market always tells you, it always tells you. So you just got to be patient. Let the market tell you what to do. The funny thing about like the shorts here, I was thinking about it yesterday a lot. When I started trading, okay,
mm,
like most people, it was a bull market. I was young and it was a bull market. I was in Hong Kong in 92, right? And Hong
yeah,
Kong went from like, I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but I want to say 5,000, the Hang Seng Index, to 12,000 from 92 to 94, right? And that's when I started trading. And which is how most people start trading because the bull market lures you in, right? And I made money because I was young and stupid enough to just be buying and leveraging and leveraging and leveraging. And isn't this fun, right? I'm making more money doing this than I am in my job, that whole thing, right? And of
this is
course,
in,
I had
sorry,
no
oh
way of
04, you said.
from 92 to 94.
Oh, sorry, 92, 94.
Yeah. So of course, I had no way of knowing when that was going to end because I didn't know what I was doing. And even when you know what you're doing, it's hard to know when that's going to end. But I didn't know what I was doing. But it ended, and I gave a lot of that money back as the market started going down. And then I found about midway through the bear market, I would say, I found this incredible thing, which was called shorting, right? So I was like, oh, well, we can make money on the short side then. Okay, it's a bear market. Hey, yeah. So I started shorting and I made some money. And I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world, man. All these assholes are losing money and I'm making money. I'm freaking. So I started shorting.
Right.
And so, of course, now there's no way for me to know when that ends either. Right. So as it started to bounce, I'm like, oh, no, I'm doing this shorting thing. I was shorting, shorting, shorting. And so, of course, I lost all my money back that way. Right. And I feel like that's where we are at right now. Everyone got a lot of people, young people got involved after COVID, made a shitload of money on the way up, lost
Right.
money last year, and now have found this shorting thing, right? And now we're bouncing in their face as they're shorting, and they're going to lose money on the short side too, right? Which is clearly what a lot of people are doing here. And then what the next phase is, I'm not totally sure, but probably a market that just goes up and down and chops for quite a few years would be my guess. We're not going to stay in 100-point
You
S&P
think
range.
those traders are still in the market though?
Some of them
People.
are. Some of them
Yeah,
are. Yeah,
yeah,
and for whatever reason, they love to short.
sure.
You know, once you find that shorting drug, man, it's a hard thing to get off. You know, you make money on the short side even once, and that's a hard habit to break because
It's always been this really like un-American type of thing for strangely to short something, to short stocks.
I
Yeah, or
mean, some people
short
say that, but
futures.
some
I
people
don't
say that.
see I don't see how you could even have a clear understanding of how the markets work if you just don't want to short stuff. But equities traders seem to only want to go long stuff,
Well, it's
individual
worked
equities.
for a long time, I guess, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sure.
You're
Yeah.
getting a lot of classic signs here too. This icon news I thought was a classic yesterday.
Oh, where he's getting the short sellers are going at him.
No, he lost. He came out and said that he lost like $9 billion in the last X number of years shorting the stock market, buying puts and hedging his portfolio by shorting stocks and all that stuff. He lost $9 billion, and he admitted that he was wrong. Thank you. And he is now cutting it back and all that. So the market's going to force him to stop shorting too. These are kind of like classic signs, right? It's just like
Jeez.
when Druckenmiller was shorting, the tech stocks at 99, and the market forced him out. It actually forced him long, and then that's when the market
So
finally
then,
topped. That's when the market finally topped. So it's almost some of these real classic signs that we're seeing. I don't think that's. I hate to say this because today will be the top of the stock market, but it doesn't feel like to me it's done yet, but it's getting close. I go back to the beginning of this
sure.
year or December, when I did some interview with some guy, I think David Lynn or something like that. And, he's asked me, so what do you think is going to happen next year? And like, I have no way of forecasting anything, much less 12 months out. I have no ability or nothing
Yeah.
that can do that for me. Nothing that I look at can do that. Right. But I said, if I'm going to take the most contrarian view here, I'm going to be long the first half of the year and I'm going to be short the second half of the year. And maybe that'll end up being exactly what happens. I'm kind of targeting, just as to be a wise ass, um, June expiration, June options expiration as a possible top in this market because and that's
I like June.
strictly
Yeah.
that's strictly just looking at this one guy that I've been fading the whole time, who's been
I
short
like that.
Nvidia, who's been short the Qs, who's been short all these things. And I look at his stuff because he has to post it because he's a public figure on TV, so he has to post. And he's like short these things, and most of it is he has June puts on all this stuff. So he refuses to get out. He's been short Nvidia for the whole year, right? Refuses to get out. But when
Yeah.
June comes, if he has June puts, he will be forced out.
That's funny because I'm selling uh covered calls, June expiries on
Yeah.
some gas companies. Actually, I'm super fucking bullish on them, but I think a lot of people are going to get the timing wrong on it. I think generally energy is going to have like come June, energy
Uh-huh.
is going to rip like Petrobras, all the MLPs, like the pipeline companies. I think they're going to rip, man. I think it's been
Well,
asleep far too long.
I am long energy, so I'm happy to hear. I hope you get that right because I am long that shit.
Yeah, I'm holding my gas companies through. Well, yeah, definitely to the end of this year, man. Got to see it through. Nat
Yeah.
gas is on the way back here as well. Shit, I had a good 2 weeks. Well, good week anyway. All right, all
Yeah.
right.
I
Let's
guess really
let's
had
see
that
how
nice grip. Yeah.
let's see
30%
how
in
we go.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, what 30% is it? Look at it.
I mean, I'm seeing that gas. I'm just looking
Oh
at
yeah,
the
thirty
screen and
percent since the
eyeballing
third.
it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, looks like somewhere around that. That's a pretty nice move, man. 30% in a few weeks.
Now you
Tough to
can see
beat.
why I'm balls deep long Southwestern Energy. There's so when I got
Southwestern
down to the
Energy. What's the code?
SWN.
SWN for Nancy.
Yeah, yeah. Sugar whiskey November. Don't do the contrarian and go in and start selling the shit out.
I don't even trade equities, but I mean things gone from 460 to 540 in a week, so or two
Yeah,
weeks. So that's nice.
yeah. The reason for that was because actually a bit of Shapiro-esque stuff going on there. When we got down to like 2 on nat gas,
Yeah.
I went on Twitter and everybody was just like, we're going to 1. No, and then people were like, no, we're going to 0 on nat gas. What happened to oil and COVID? No,
Right.
we're definitely going to $1 on nat gas. And I was like, okay, everyone's crowding into this short here. I am like, I gotta
Go
get
time.
long. How can I get long and not like have a huge amount of risk? And I've been wanting a reason to buy Southwestern Energy for quite a while, actually. But I think that was for me the major catalyst of we'll flirt with a like a $1 handle. It won't
Yeah.
happen, and then we'll just lift. And yeah, so I'm liking it. Wishing I was short these bonds. I mean, I'd be kicking myself now if they do default and these bonds go like to like $1 on Tino's. But
What does
that's
it really
good.
mean if they? I don't even understand. If they default, what does it mean? They don't make an interest payment on their bonds one time, and then so what? Then they'll freak out, and then they'll come out and come up with a deal, and they'll make it the next time, and they'll make up for the one that they missed. I mean, are we really at a point where the U.S. government
Yeah,
is
yeah,
going to
but
not make payments on their interest? I just
yeah, but you go from AAA bonds to like double B, maybe no C actually. So there you're down there with where Greece was. You're below
yeah,
Greece on the bond table.
it can't. You know, it can't happen. You
No.
just know it can't happen. I'm the first one that would love to take the contrarian side and say everyone
Yeah,
thinks it can't happen, therefore it can happen, right?
yeah,
But
I know.
I just I can't see it. I mean, they're playing politics and all that, and they're holding these guys, and I would think the Republicans know that if they don't do a deal, then the whole thing collapses and Joe Biden's gone. So maybe they want to do that, but
No, I think it's all political theater for the Republicans and the Democrats, to be honest.
it's all political
They're,
theater, man. That's what I think.
yeah.
There's no fucking way they're defaulting. Not by choice. They will default, like I was saying before, but it ain't gonna be by choice. It's gonna be by the market saying we ain't taking your dollars anymore, bro. So you can print as many as you want, and you can freaking wallpaper your house with them. Then they'll default.
Yeah,
Then they'll default, and then we'll have a whole nother conversation. But
yeah.
and
Bonds are
hopefully
really
that won't happen, but it feels to me like it's almost inevitable. So
yeah, but again, like so ahead of trading that I used to have in Geneva, uh, we'd have these kind of like broad conversations or these broad ideas would start, permeating at the time. But I can't remember what it was at the time. Like Volmageddon happened, and then we were all like, "Oh my god, we're going to keep dropping," and we didn't. And he was just like, "Listen, lads, like, what's the trade?" And not one of us could answer him. So having these big conversations about oil going to when oil gets phased out and everyone's driving an EV, what's the price of oil going to be? Well, it's going to be probably $300-400 a barrel. Okay, fine, but what's the trade today? There is no trade. Okay, maybe you buy an ETF, buy and hold, great, good for you. But
right,
they'll mark that thing down like they did in COVID. They'll just rearrange the net assets on the ETF, and what should be a 500% move will turn out to be like a 30% move on your ETF, right? And so there is no trade really on these big things of like Bitcoin going to $1 million. Okay, fine, buy and hold Bitcoin on margin until it goes to $1 million. I don't think so. You're not going to do that on margin. Can you buy a Bitcoin ETF? Yeah, go for it. Good.
yeah.
But, you know,
It's
anyway,
hard
we're
for
gonna.
people to see that if Bitcoin were to go to $1 million, you would have a whole bunch of really stupid people worth freaking hundreds of millions of dollars. And
And that's different today from today. How?
I just don't see that. I just don't. No, I just don't see that. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, I always look at
Uh,
Like when
That,
I used to
okay,
work on
that
the
actually kind of
news,
makes me believe even more it's going to happen.
there, a whole bunch of guys,
Well, look
people
at it. Look at
that have
AM.
no idea
AM.
what they're talking about in terms of, and this is not to say Bitcoin can't go up, it
Look
goes
at
up.
GameStop, man. They're going to write, and you know what? Look at it'll be a GameStop story. They're going to ride it up to the top, and they'll think it's going to keep on going, and they're going to hold it, and then it'll come all the way back down.
Okay, yes, and it's done that once or twice, but you know, GameStop was something that everybody was short, though. You know, everybody knew that the company was worthless, and therefore they were short.
Yeah, but retail was balls deep
They
long
were
that thing, man.
short, these more stock than there was float, so it got squeezed. I don't feel like
But
people are short that much Bitcoin. You know, there are people that trade Bitcoin short, but they ain't short that much that they can squeeze it like that. And to me, you know, and it's not that they Bitcoin can't go up. It's fine. Bitcoin can go up, but just like
well,
any other.
here's how it goes. Here's how it goes to a million. US defaults on the debt. Dollar gets a very weird, rough ride. People pile into Bitcoin. But we
That
did
could, but
just
that
have a
could
banking.
be. That
We
could
did have
be.
a banking crisis, and I mean,
And
Bitcoin
Bitcoin went
had,
nowhere.
yeah. I mean, it
So
was about a 10% bid there for what, like 2 days.
yeah,
It's come back. It's come back.
yes. So a banking crisis didn't help it. So, but yes,
Yeah.
certainly if the US and all these things that I'm talking about actually happen, one would certainly expect that Bitcoin would go up a lot because people would have to do something with their money. You know, that's really what
Yeah.
Bitcoin, that's why, what it's there for. That's why it
Yeah.
was invented, you know? And therefore, if what I'm saying happens, then Bitcoin should, without a doubt, be a beneficiary.
Oh, I think a ton of those top tier float cryptos will do. I think the winners will be Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Yeah.
and then so on and so forth. Yeah, for sure.
Which,
I
you know, it
mean,
ain't gonna matter how much Bitcoin you have when, you know, there's a gang of, you know, armed people running up your driveway, but, you know, to steal your food.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
you know,
Yeah. Speaking of farming, rabbits are eating all my vegetables right now. So, and the assassination technique is not being sanctioned by the powers that be. So here's one farmer fighting against a flock of rabbits.
yeah.
Anyway,
And unless
we're
it's a
gonna
rabbit like the Monty Python rabbits, you know, it's not gonna be too much damage.
got a vicious streak a mile wide.
That's one of the funniest scenes ever.
Listen, man, it's been a pleasure. Uh, and yeah, all right. Well, enjoy the rest of the day. Long
Yeah,
live the dollar.
I'm off to a pretty shitty start, but you know, let's see what goes on.
We'll count you in for about 200,000 shares of Southwestern. Yeah.
200,000 shares. What's it trading at?
Oh, it's cheap as chips. It's like five and a half
$5?
dollars now.
A
Five
million,
and a half.
$1 million? Yeah, I'm in, man. I'm in.
Boom. Mark my words. Nat Gas will trade at 2.7 within the next 10 trading session.
2.7.
Yeah.
Nat
Two spot
gas
seven.
is currently at, I mean,
Two
it's
spot
already at
chips.
2.7. It traded
Oh,
268 today.
oh, did it? Well,
Yes.
sorry, 2.78. 2.78. Another,
10 cents.
where are we here? Another 5%. Call it. Yeah, 5%. Another 5% off. Easy.
All
All
right.
right. Nat Gas to the moon.
Cool.
Talk to you later, man. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks.
Cheers.